Hello and welcome to Talking Trades, the podcast where we talk about comics and comic-related media. So you don't have to. I am Matt, the B-list DC fan.
And I'm Jon, the guardian of the podcast.
And did you know, Invincible, he is a primarily, well, really, he's an Image Comics character, but he has been involved in crossovers, which Image doesn't really do. And they both happened around the same time where he has met Batman and the Avengers.
I did not know that. That's super cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. And so is this show, Invincible. I was going in. This was when I saw the trailer for this show forever ago. I was like, oh, looks neat. Maybe I'll check it out. And it was great. It was fun. I'm convinced J.K. Simmons never just throws in a performance.
No.
And he's so good. He's so talented.
I love him so much.
He's fantastic. Another superstar cast for this show, for this animated show on Amazon. Has 8 episodes. Each of them go about 45 minutes long. And tells the story of Mark Grayson, great name, as he learns to deal with his newfound superpowers and becomes invincible.
What did you know about Invincible before watching the show? I know you mentioned you watched the trailer a while ago.
Literally nothing. I knew that I didn't really like his costume. That's about it.
Fine. It's like hopeful and bright.
Yeah. Works. It's not the color scheme. I don't like the goggles. I completely understand why he has them, but I just don't like them. But no, other than that, I knew literally nothing about Invincible going into this show. Just nothing.
So I listened to a lot of Kind of Funny, and they're huge fans of the comics. So I knew that the comics wrapped up, I think, in the past like 12-ish months, maybe 18 months. The book ended. But I didn't know too much, but I know that like the first episode was like, I think what I heard was it was going like one way and you're like, all right, I'm in for it. And then this happens. And then you're like, okay, I'm in for it. Yeah. And that's kind of what happens. Episode 1. I did not anticipate
like
I saw the meme, so I knew something was going to be up. I didn't think it was immediately gonna happen.
Right. Right. That was like the best non-spoiler way to describe episode 1 is that you think it's going a certain way and then it goes a different way. For those listening who haven't watched, spoiler alert, starting now. So
isn't it crazy when everyone dies?
Isn't it crazy? So the show starts off with two guards at the White House, and they're talking about their lives. And one's talking about how he's going to be going to England with his stepson Matt, and how they've really connected after a while, and it's very nice. And then 2 big blue guys show up and start wrecking the place. They are the Mauler twins. And their goal is to take out the president.
As you do.
As you do. What a way to start a superhero show with just here are some bad guys.
Send in the clones,
Send in the clones, yes. And have them argue about which one is the actual clone. Which was fun. I liked that part of their character. But so they send in, and you send them after the president. It's a nice way to introduce the Guardians of the Globe as they show up to stop it. And the Guardians of the Globe is 100% the Justice League.
No.
You have the Immortal, who is kind of Superman. You have Darkwing, who is Batman. You have War Woman, Wonder Woman, the Green.
Very clearly Wonder Woman.
You have Martian Man, who's like, come on. Martian Manhunter. I forget the giant
There's no
name.
duplicate.
No,
that's not on that team. That's why that's not on that team. I got it. We got it.
She's on the teen team. But
there's the lady in the green who can kind of like Kitty Pryde through stuff.
Yeah, the green ghost. There's that fish monster dude who's Aquaman, and
there's the Scotsman.
Yeah, and then there's
I forgot what he does.
There's Red Rush, who is the Flash, but a Russian Flash. It's great. It was great. They show up. They start fighting these two big blue dudes, try to save all these White House staffers and things of that nature.
And things are getting pretty hairy until suddenly Omni-Man appears.
Omni-Man shows up,
which is the real Superman.
Yeah, the
way too busted. Superman. Doesn't need to be on a team. Kind of salt and pepper hair.
Mm-hmm.
It looks good. It just comes in and saves the day. But you could tell there's a little bit of animosity between him and the Guardians. There's some dirty looks cast back and forth. But the day is saved, and he takes a lot of the credit because he's Omni-Man, the world's greatest superhero, as you do.
Exactly, as you do. And the thing is, still, his powers are still not as overpowered as Superman because he doesn't have frost breath or laser vision or anything like that. He can just fly. And he's really strong, and he's indestructible. Leagues stronger than any other member. Maybe the whole Guardians put together. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out.
Then we cut back to pretty much a slice of life. We meet Mark at home, and they're waiting for breakfast, but Dad's not home yet. And oh my God, Dad is Omni-Man. But everyone knows he's Omni-Man. It's not a Lois and Clark scenario.
Yeah.
Or the Superman. Whatever the Today with Superman show, it's not that scenario. Everyone knows he's Omni-Man. And they're talking about how Mark's powers haven't happened yet. And they're supposed to happen when he turns 18 because the dad, whose name is Nolan, is from Beryllium, I think. Is that the name of the planet? He starts with a V. I can tell you that much.
He's a Ventramite. I think it's Ventrum.
Ventrum. Okay.
Ventrum.
So I'm gonna look it up in the meantime. But he's from he describes where he's from, and it's this beautiful utopian planet, and they just go around helping people because they have all this technology. And he volunteered to come to Earth alone and be its sole protector because that's what they do. He describes it similar to the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Where you have this sector, you have this sector, keep them all safe. And Mark just wants to be like his dad because his dad is freaking Omni-Man.
Yeah, his dad is the superhero.
So I totally get it. And we cut to him working his probably 5 to 9 his burger job after work
at the Burger Mart. Yep.
Yeah,
at Burger Mart.
At Burger Mart. And he's taking out the trash. And I've been there. I'm sure you've been there. It sucks.
Oh,
so he takes the shrinking mustard, lobs one bag in the dumpster, and then he does the same thing, but the last one goes to space.
Yeah, he
goes to orbit.
Yeah, he chucks it. And before that happens, we see him at school, and he's just kind of there. He's just kind of a kid. He sticks up for a girl who's being harassed, and you see him just get beaten the snot out of, just knocked around. Clearly having just not great day. So what do? You go to work and you throw a garbage bag just to the moon.
Yeah, and just straight up into space.
Which I wish I could do that. There were times in my life where I think I would probably have done that.
Then at dinner, Mark's like, hey, guess what? And they're like, what? He says, someone's getting his powers. And there's no reaction from Nolan.
No.
Then the mom, Debbie, kicks him He's like, that's great. That's great. Oh my God, that's amazing. We'll start training. It'll be great. So you're like, all right, this is going to be a nice, cool. He's going to come to his own as a superhero, and it's going to be great. Then you get the title card because he's going to be invincible. And that's one thing I love about the series too is the title cards.
Yeah.
So like every time in an episode they would say the word invincible, that's when a title card will come in. It's not necessarily in the beginning. No. It's just some point in the episode when they would say invincible. That's when the title card comes up in place of the word.
Yeah,
and it gets more and more bloody.
Yeah, it does. And in the opening one, the first time we see Invincible is when he is at his dad's tailor shop, and his tailor's name is Art, played by Mark Hamill.
Yep.
And they go there, and first, Dad's like, "Hey, we need to get you a suit and stuff like that," because Mark is, he's excited. He gets to be a superhero. He starts training with his dad, and he even he went out like the first night and he started flying, and he flew basically all the way till orbit and then just fell and created a big old hole in the backyard, which they have to spend so much money on landscaping at their house. So much. Between now Mark and Nolan, who both fly. Of course, Mark doesn't really know how to land. But they train. Mark, being a teenager, goes and he's like, I have to fight. I need to do something. And he goes and he stops a guy who's robbing a bank. The guy has cool powers where he can give himself like a stone, like protection, like armor. And that's all fun and games. He causes a lot of destruction, and he gets some grades from his dad saying, "Hey, this is what you could have done better, this, that, and the other." And that's where Mark's like, "Dad, I want to be like you." And they have a nice hug, and it's a good father-son moment, and kind of sets up, okay, so Mark's going to be training with his dad, and it's going to be all hunky-dory. And then, when he's like, everybody has to have a name, he finally comes up with his name. And as he's about to say it, boom, Invincible. And then, as John said, every episode, there's just more blood. Then
we get to which I thought was a post-credit scene, but it's just the rest of the episodes I've come to find out.
Yeah.
Where you're at the home base of the Guardians of the Globe.
Yes.
And everyone was called there. They don't know what's going on. And then Omni-Man shows up and just wrecks everybody.
Yeah.
Just bloody, decapitates the immortal, destroys everybody.
Yeah. He does the mountain thing from Game of Thrones to Red Rush.
Thing. And this is right after you actually just got a lot of tiny vignettes, character building of this whole team. You see them all die.
They get decimated by Omni-Man.
Yikes.
And Omni-Man, after his fight, collapses from exhaustion because he's still amazingly strong and unbelievably powerful, but he's still taking on the Earth's mightiest heroes. And he does get beat around a little bit, but he's able to take them all out.
Episode 2, we see Mark kind of grow more into the hero. In the Guardians' absence, that the government seems to be just trying to cover up and pretend it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
There are these aliens who come in through a portal or a rift, and it is not going well. Mark is also having trouble doing things for real.
Yeah.
And he's just clamming up, but it's okay because the teen team. I'm like, I know it's not Titans. I know it's not Titans. I know it's not Titans. The teen team is here, which is led by
Rexplode. There's
Rexplode. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There's
which Rexplode thing is he like is kind of like Gambit, only infinitely less cool. I think he just throws things that blow up.
Yeah.
Duplicate, which copies herself, which is really cool. Adam Eve, which can do misc. Right? Like, I don't know what her set is. It's just whatever she needs. Telekinesis, maybe? Barriers? Like, what do you need?
She explains it at one point during this show, but like
misc.
Misc. Like her weapons remind me of like Psylocke's psychic weapons that she uses when she's fighting and stuff like that. But yeah, she kind of does she can create, I guess, like barriers and stuff using some sort of power.
And then also just like make coffee with her mind. Like it's whatever she needs to do, she can get done. It's fine.
Then you have
who else is there? Robot with the excellent, like calculated voice of Zachary Quinto.
Yes, so
good. Also, Jason Mantzoukas as Rexplode is great because he is a loud, obnoxious jerk. And I love Jason Mantzoukas, but that is what his voice was created for.
Yes, and it was wonderful. If you don't know who he is, he plays Feinstein on Parks and Rec. He is Adrian Pimento on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's
on The Good Place. He's on How Did This Get Made? He's in The League. He's great. Big mouth. Lots of great stuff.
Yes.
So he kind of gets pretty friendly with the Guardians team. And the government went back to the lair and collected everything, but they can't, like all the body pieces in the crime scene. They're trying to figure out exactly what happened. And the leader of the GDA,
I think.
The Global Defense Agency, Cecil Stedman. I forget what they call him in the show. I've heard it both ways. Cecil is like, everybody leave, leave the room right now, immediately. And then Demon Detective shows up.
I loved him.
Isn't he cool? I thought he was super cool. It also just serves to like, what's cool because like this is a new comic universe, right? So like we know with Marvel and DC, there's like the street level stuff, there's the space stuff, there's the magic stuff, and like we know that all going in. Because we just know there's those like corners of the universe. But this is how they introduce the magic corner of the universe is like Demon Detective. We're like, okay.
I loved him. He was so interesting. And this is from Image Comics, and Image Comics, another big name from Image that involves a character from Hell is, maybe you've heard of him, Spawn. And this technically and one of the
maybe Spawn helped them found Image Comics. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. So like Invincible technically takes place in the same universe that Spawn is in. But yeah, he's so cool. Every time he's there is because the room gets really, really cold and stuff. And he just shows up and he's doing detective work, and he's got his like old like 1920s, right? Your 1920s or 1940s.
Yeah, you're like noir overcoat. It's so great. I love it.
The fedora, and he's just this demon who's just doing detective stuff. I would absolutely read his comics. I think they'd be really cool.
Oh yeah, because it'd be very low power, just very detective.
Yes.
It'd be very interesting.
And
so then you find out that the government kind of I don't know if the government like contracted him or if he's just doing it to do it, but he's determined to find the answers. He needs to know what's going on because this is not typical. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, Omni-Man he was roughed up in the combat, but he also like kind of roughed himself up.
Yeah.
And is laying there as the sole survivor of this attack. So this attack looks like it was purposefully done to offseat all the superheroes. So they're trying to search down leads of super villains or people who would have a problem with superheroes, which would, of course, never put Omni-Man on the radar.
No.
I think that's about that, unless there's more you want to discuss in that one.
In that one, I mean, we see Mark, he allows himself to get beat up by that one bully again after he realizes he has his powers, and he just kind of sits there and he takes it and he shows no sort of like emotion, and it freaks the dude out. And eventually that dude runs into him, and the girl who he was sticking up for, whose name is Amber, uses the bully to go up to Mark to give him her phone number, which I thought was creative and fun, how they did that. And so we see this like he's starting with the powers, he's starting like his life is kind of starting to turn around. He's starting to get kind of everything he's ever wanted, right? He's getting, you know, he's getting kind of popular. A pretty girl at school is paying attention to him. He is friends with one of the most popular girls in school, which is Eve, because they go to the same high school together. Adam, Eve, and Invincible do. And it just shows like hey, everything's going great. And when he runs into them with those aliens, he gets like his first mini nemesis with that one guy he hits with like a cinder block, because they leave, because the first time they arrive, the Earth's like time is different than their time back on their planet. So they start to age and die. They leave. They come back. They have new fun little bracelets that stop that. They break those bracelets. They leave. They come back. And then when all hope seems to be lost, Omni-Man steps in and is like, hey, don't touch my kid. And then he goes and follows them through the portal and destroys everything on that planet.
Episode 3 begins with the audacity of Omni-Man giving a eulogy for the Guardians at their funeral.
Yes.
I love J.K. Simmons so much.
He's so talented. Like, I don't think I've seen him in anything that I particularly disliked. He's even fun to watch in the Farmers commercials.
I didn't much care for Joss Whedon's Justice League.
Yeah, but it's not on
I'll put
him.
that out there.
That's
it is not on
his. That's not on his performance. I'm sure his performance was fine for all like 2 seconds we see of him.
Yeah. So this episode, I think, is largely that. I don't remember what else. We forgot Monster Girl.
Right. Yeah. So now that it's been confirmed that the Guardians of the Globe are dead, the GDA recruits Robot to create a new Guardians of the Globe. And so he holds tryouts. And before these tryouts, Adam, Eve, and Rexplosion or Rexplode or whatever his name is, they were an item. Rexplode cheats on her with Duplicate, and so they have all of her. So they have a big kerfuffle. She's at the tryouts, but she's not going to join the Guardians of the Globe because she doesn't want to work with Rexplode, which can't blame her, right? So
no, I get it.
So that's when we see the new Guardians of the Globe, which is Rexplode and Duplicate and Monster Girl and the one guy whose name escapes me. You know the one. And then Robot, who is picked to lead this new Guardians. And they go and begin their training. As you can imagine, Rexplode is a butthead the entire time. and this new Guardians of the Globe takes quite a bit for them to finally lift off and get their feet under them.
Yeah.
So we see,
and throughout all of this, we see the usual stuff we've come to expect with Mark struggling to live both his school and or his like superhero and his personal life.
Yeah.
We see that. We see him try to, balance like dating Amber, but like, oh no, I have to go save people at Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
That old chestnut. It's fine.
Yeah. Very Spider-Man-esque high schooler trying to have it all as a superhero.
Yeah, this overall Invincible plays very heavily into tropes, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Not a pro or a con. Just they play it. I think it allows them to do a lot of shortcutting, which again, I don't mean with a negative, but it lets them just do, you guys as the audience, like you get what's happening here. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then go on to the next plot point.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I watched this all in a day. So like as far
That's
as
fine.
separating episode to episode, I'm like a little struggling.
That's fine. I finished a majority of it today, so I can help where I can because I still have it fresh for the most part. So yeah, a lot of Mark's story is just him training with his dad and trying to juggle this life as a high schooler and as a son and as as Invincible and as a boyfriend and all these other things that are going on, and so eventually he is, and a few times the GDA tries to recruit Omni-Man to go into space for this, that, or the other, and his mom is like, no, you have to stay home. The Guardians are dead. They could be coming after us. We need you at home. And Mark's like, I'll go. And he goes into space the first time to meet with someone on the moon. And it is somebody who is there to see how their Earth's defender is. And he's played by Seth Rogen.
Which is, I would not have cast that. But like, you know what? It's fine. It works.
It worked for how that character was. I thought it made some very silly interaction between those two as they kind of sat there and talked about it, and how he realized that he messed up. He went to the wrong planet. He thought he was going to Urath, not Earth.
Seth Rogen plays Alan the Alien, by the way.
The Alien. This is his second role as an alien, as far as I know. First one is Paul.
Okay, I was going to guess Paul, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, he's Paul.
I don't know if I'd seen Paul.
It's fun. It's an enjoyable movie. I liked it. Jason Bateman's in it. Sigourney Weaver's in it. But I digress. So that was his first try into space. The second try was to accompany humanity's first trip to Mars. And it's a 2-week trip. And he tells Amber, he's like, I'm going and I'm gonna do doing like the Peace Corps stuff. I'm gonna go and help people. And his whole job was to go to Mars and make sure that the astronauts were not, affected by anything, weren't attacked by anything. Or
kidnapped by the indigenous aliens.
Who we know that Mars has Martians because of Martian Man on the Guardians of the Globe.
And it is the most sloppy rescue mission ever attempted. It was not very well planned. He eventually is able to get them out because he's, invincible.
Yes.
And they get them on the shuttle, and he tries to fly the shuttle into orbit, but it's like a little too heavy. But eventually they get the thrusters going and they leave. And then he comes back down and is like, I'm going to take this rock. We cool? We good? Everything's good? All right, cool.
I very much like Mark's whole attitude.
No, Steven Yeun hits every emotional cue And there is a gamut with Mark throughout the series.
Yeah,
and he crushes all of them.
It's great. He's so talented. He did such a good job, and I like the character of Mark Grayson a lot because he reminds me of characters like Spider-Man and like Nightwing, where he's very quippy, he's very goofy, but his heart is always in the right
young,
place.
Balanced superhero life with like school and like high school things. Like, that's absolutely in that wheelhouse.
Yeah, and so he comes back from Mars with that rock, and he gives it to Amber. He's like, "I got you something. It's an Earth rock, but don't take it
to a Mars rock.
Don't take it to any geologists. They'll just lie to you about something. They're all crazy." But that's just kind of how it goes, and the investigation into the Guardians is starting to turn up things. Cecil tells Demon Detective to drop the case. Demon Detective does not, because his whole purpose is that his soul can be saved if he helps bring about justice through being a detective. And he finally has a moment where he speaks directly with Debbie, Mark's mom, Omni-Man's wife, and starts to put in her head, maybe your husband did this. Isn't it strange that of all of the people that were there, all but one died, right? He's the only one that survived. Isn't that weird? And so it starts to get her to question, is my husband lying to me? Is he being truthful? Who is, what has Omni-Man been up to? And of course, we as the audience, we know he's the big bad guy. He killed them. We all saw in gruesome detail, by the way. Don't let your kids watch this one. Lots of blood, and also some language. But after that whole trip, and you see that Mark's biggest struggle with being invincible is his attendance, his punctuality. He is always late. He's late to school. His grades are slipping. He's late to work. He's late to spend time with Amber, to the point where Amber is just being fed up with it. He was 2 hours late to meet Amber's parents for dinner. He just kept missing things. And Eve sticks up for him. She's like, there are a lot of jerks in the world, but Mark is a good one. You have a good one. He is crazy about you. He loves you. And she's like, all right. I'll give him this chance here to come help us at this community center. And that community center, Mark is recruited by the same first bad guy that he fights, the rock guy whose name is Titan. And he's like, hey, you have to help me take down my boss. My boss is ruining my life. I want to get out of this racket. I want to just be with my family. I don't want to be a hired gun anymore. And he goes there, and they spring an attack on that whole tower. His boss's name is Machine Head, where his head is like a robot head. He was really interesting. I liked how they did his voice.
With the modulation as well.
Yes.
Or they just auto-tuned it.
Yeah,
but it was great.
Yeah, it was really cool. And he's like, when you're beat, but good thing for me is I have money. And he just has all these different hired muscle just show up from different parts of the universe and just take it to town on Titan and Invincible. Eventually the Guardians do show up, and it's a big fight. And before that fight happens, Titan even says he has some sort of like bomb-proof glass. Like, this glass cannot break. So you just see like this big skyscraper, and just at the top, it's like a huge light show is going on. and they barely scrape out of it. There's one like big lion guy who just literally takes a mace right to Mark's chest. And the Guardians and Mark like I said, they barely scrape by. Several of them are hospitalized for significant injuries. Mark is one of them. God, I can't think of that last character on Guardians, but he's one, and then Monster Girl is one. And we see Robot isn't merely just like a robot. He has feelings, and he clearly cares for Monster Girl. And we see that he helps break the Mauler twins out of high security prison and recruits them to make a clone for him.
Mm-hmm.
Why? We don't technically know at that point, but eventually.
I also don't know if we covered, but Monster Girl, when she uses her power, she grows younger.
Yes, she gets younger.
So she looks like she's, I think, 14 to 12 at this point, but she is 24.
24, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we learn that he took DNA from Rexplode, and he has the Mauler twins grow a clone of him, but to just like him in his preteens, him as 12, 13-year-old kid. And you find out that Robot isn't a robot. He is someone who has been controlling these robots from a pod. He is this just
incredibly intelligent, physically just incapable.
Yes,
being.
he is uber smart, but he is he's not physically capable to do anything. And he's like, I'm a 30-year-old man, and I want to be able to experience things in life that I haven't been able to experience. And you realize that he's doing this because he cares about Monster Girl, and he wants to help her and try and cure her curse so that she can, age the proper way. And they eventually get there, and then Cecil calls everybody back, and this is when they finally find out Omni-Man's the big bad. But back to Mark and Amber's relationship really is rocky. They go to Upstate University, where they're like, we're starting over. This is going to be great. And they run into a creepy son of a gun, played by the Flash. I can't think of his name. He was also in
Played by the Flash.
He was also in Where the Wild Things Are.
I hadn't seen that. I just read the book.
Okay, you're probably not missing much.
That's what I gathered.
Snyderverse Flash. I can't think of his name.
It's Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. Yes, he plays this uber genius character who likes to steal people and experiment on them, and he, as he puts it, removing humanity's flaws. And
yeah, I hate him.
Terrifying cyborg creatures. So even when he's at this school trying to not be invincible, Mark gets thrown into this where he has to be invincible. He has to save these people. And Amber, when everything goes, sour, Amber looks for him. He's gone, but there's Invincible. And, Invincible saves the day. But Amber's like, Mark, where were you? You abandoned us. And that's just kind of where their relationship kind of ends for basically the remainder of the show. They have a little bit of an argument. But that's just kind of where things stand with them. So after all of that, though, and like I said, it is finally figured out that the mom, Debbie, finally finds out Omni-Man is the one who killed the original Guardians of the Globe. Why would he do that? And she even confronts him. She's like, I know what you did. Why would you do that? And he keeps trying to tell her. He's like, can you trust me? And she's like, no, I can't. You've been lying to me for I don't know how long. And so she goes to the GDA and she tells Cecil, and Cecil's like, yeah, we knew. We just needed to figure out what we were going to do before we confront him about it. And she's like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, there's only one person on Earth that might be able to stand toe to toe with Omni-Man and win. And that's Mark, because Mark is also a Ventromite. Not full Ventromite, but basically like 99% Ventromite. And so we finally we see Mark, and he just got dumped, so he's going to speak with Eve and just tell her, I'm done being a superhero. I'm done. It's ruining my life. I thought it was everything I ever wanted. I lost everything. I lost my girl. My grades are slipping. My parents are arguing all the time. I've been near death several times. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And while that's going on, Omni-Man is going towards them. Cecil and the GDA use a lot of weaponry to slow him down. They use basically the Hammer of Dawn from Gears of War just to slow him down. It doesn't. And then they throw a giant kaiju at him. And that's when Adam, Eve, and Invincible are both just kind of, they're cruising. They're just flying and talking, and they see this giant kaiju fighting Omni-Man, and Mark sees his dad in trouble. He's going to go help his dad. And so Omni-Man and Invincible fight this giant kaiju. Adam Eve is told by Cecil to go back to the Guardians' hideout and just stay there until they are needed. Stay there until they give the go ahead to go and do something. And you know, Mark and Nolan are taking out this giant beast, but they aren't able to really work together because the Mauler twins decided to resurrect the body of the Immortal. And as soon as he wakes up, the only thing he wants to do is get revenge on Omni-Man. So he flies straight at him. And so while Omni-Man and Immortal are fighting, Mark is fighting this giant kaiju. Mark eventually beats it because he uses electricity and power lines and all that fun stuff.
Notably, they souped up the monster. Like, they took out the pain indicators.
Yeah.
So you can just go full rage.
Yeah. So this monster is just vicious. And eventually he does take it out. As he takes it out, though, Mark and the entire world see Omni-Man rip the Immortal in half and killing him again. And Mark is taken aback. He's like, why? And this is where you finally learn the true purpose of Nolan, of Omni-Man, why he killed them all. He said, I am from Ventromite. I am a Ventromite. I'm from Ventrum. And we were not a peaceful world. We are a world that we took out all of our weaknesses. And you should see the same like shot originally, but all of these Ventromites just fighting and killing each other until they completely sort out the weak. So only the strong survive. And
this all happened before he was born.
This all happened well before Mark was born, or before Nolan was born. Yes, well before Nolan was born.
Is Viltrumite. I don't think I ever heard that L once in this show. Anyway. Yeah, so he's like, yeah, I didn't lie to you. I was from there, but it's not the planet I told you about. And when he was old enough, he joined the military, and they sent Viltrumites out one by one to individual planets so that they could help weaken it on their own, because Viltrumite was the strongest empire in the galaxy. So they decided to make it the only empire in the galaxy.
Yep.
So they're like, so basically they go to these worlds, weaken them, and they say, cool, I will destroy this planet, or you can join the Empire. And that's the whole plan.
Yes.
But Mark's like, are you kidding me? And he's like, no, this is what it's always been. Like, your mom's great as a pet,
And
which like
that
it's emotionally crushing.
Yeah, that's what sets him off.
Emotionally crushing, but also he made love to his pet.
Yeah, like, ew, dude.
Like, I just couldn't. I just could not. I was able to watch the last couple episodes a second time, and like, man, no.
Yeah.
Implications are just really messed up.
And that's when Mark has heard it, and he's like, no, this can't happen. I have friends here. I have family here. What about all of us, all the people that you care about? And he's like, our lives last significantly longer than any of these people.
Yeah, like you're gonna live for, do you say thousands of years? Something crazy. So like no one here matters. In the great scheme of things, no one here matters because they won't be alive in a little bit. So who cares? It's all for the glory of the Empire. That's what I'm loyal to. That's what you have to be loyal to. And Mark's struggle is my friends, my family, mom. Also, I've never met these aliens.
Yeah.
Why do I have to throw the only life I've known away blindly to a lie? Like, he's not about that life. So they get very into it.
Yeah. And woof. Mark does not have a good time fighting his dad. He gets thrown around basically the planet. He gets thrown into Chicago, and the GDA tries to help Mark as best they can. Omni-Man does nothing to him, but he gets thrown into Chicago. There's a building collapse. There's cars being thrown everywhere, this, that, and the other. And then we see like Omni-Man's like, see how difficult it is to save everybody. Isn't this just easier? This is what we're supposed to do. We are conquerors. And Mark isn't for that. He continues to attempt to fight. He then gets basically beaten all the way to Mount Everest, where earlier in the show they had a very touching father-son moment at Mount Everest. And Mark still won't give up. He's like, no, you can be changed. We don't have to do this. We're a family. And this is when you see the meme that we see that have circulated for months, the think Mark, with Omni-Man pointing at his head, right? We see that. And during that fight, we also see, look at the amount of, look at what all they need to mimic a fraction of our power, which we've seen turned into, many a different memes as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the fight just it's just not going Mark's way, and eventually Omni-Man just
it's so much so to where Omni-Man's like just beating into a pulp and is like, you know what? Who cares? I can start over again. 17 years is nothing.
Yeah.
Make another kid. Who cares? It's fine.
Yep. And he has a flashback of Mark playing his first baseball game. And there's he's talking with Debbie, and she's like, you should really sit in the stands. And he's like, it'd be a better view look from the top. And so we see that happen. And Mark hits a home run. Inside the park home run, but a home run nonetheless. And he is able to and you see like actual joy on Omni-Man. I think really like the first time in the show, right, is the just first bit of legitimate joy that he has for his son. And it cuts back to, the modern day, and he just kind of stops. He wants to keep going, but he stops. And he just kind of has a moment where he just sits there and
leaves.
Yeah, and just leaves. And so we see that happen, and then we see the aftermath everything, of Omni-Man showing his true colors, that he never cared about anybody, and the life that Mark and Debbie have to go back to. And this entire time we've been talking, we haven't talked about Mark's best friend, William, which is just really is not fair, because we should be talking about Mark's BFF, William, because he was such a fun character. And they all just kind of show up at his house. Amber shows up and she kisses him, and Mark's like, "Wait, I thought we were done." She's like, she's like, "I'm willing to try again." And we see William and Adam Eve show up, and William spills the beans that he knew that Mark was invincible, but all of them knew at that point.
But they didn't all know that they all knew.
Yeah, they didn't all know that they all knew. So we see that that all come to fruition, and you're like, okay, well, there are still unanswered questions. One, where's Omni-Man? All we know is that he went into space and left in a straight trajectory. So wherever he's going far. And then the show shows you all these different story threads that happen throughout the show. You have the stuff on Mars that happened. You have the stuff with Titan that happened. You have other things that, the giant cat dude with mace and stuff like that, and just showing his rogues gallery, right? And
yeah, I saw it as like, well, so that's framed in a conversation he's having with Alan.
Yeah.
Because they're out getting pizza, and he gets a call. He's like, "Listen," it's the guy from it's Cecil.
Cecil, yeah.
He goes, "Listen, something's flying super fast towards Earth. We don't know what it is, and that's really all you hear." And then he flies off, and everyone's like, "So," and then each is like, "So I guess that I should tell you that I'm Adam Eve."
Yep.
And they're like, "Oh, amazing.
Oh, cool. You're
yeah,
the
that's
one that
cool.
Can duplicate herself." Right? No, that's duplicate.
I love how he mistakes her for duplicate, but it's like, no, not the one with short, dark hair. The one with long, flowing red hair.
Right.
You idiot.
Right.
It's so ridiculous to me. Anyway, and it's what's hurtling towards there. Mark's winding up a punch, but it's Alan.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Listen, Earth is just off limits. There's a Viltrumite living there, and yikes." And he goes, "Right." And they have a conversation.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, so you're part Viltrumite?" "Yeah." "And your dad?" "Yeah." And he's like, that's crazy. So Earth is flagged for destruction, or / being conquered.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely unheard of and kind of terrifying that your dad just left, because Viltrumites are relentless. They will never stop. No Viltrumite has ever just given up. That's not a thing. So, and at the end of the conversation, he asks Mark, he's like, "So what are you going to do in the meantime?" And that's where you get basically just all the dangling plot lines.
Yes.
That they could pick up on. The Muller twins are locked up, but robots there. The stone dude is a crime boss who he fights a different faction crime boss in his thing. The crazy doctor guy is with a bunch of lava monsters. There's a lot of different just dangling plot threads that were not wrapped up. And he's like, "I don't know, finish high school?" He's like, "Yeah, good, sounds good. What's high school?" And that's how it ends.
Yeah.
All to the hives. Hate to say I told you so.
Yep.
All right.
There was a lot that we didn't cover on with a lot of those characters. But yeah, this is a show I would absolutely recommend. It was very fun. It was very brutal. Like I said before, J.K. Simmons, I don't think he's ever taken a day off in his life when it comes to acting. But it was really good. I would absolutely recommend it. I'm very excited for season 2. There's a lot that they can do. I'm interested to see what happens with Omni-Man. where he's going, because I imagine that they're just not going to completely forget about him. I'm sure they'll do some sort of side plot with him.
My guess, and these answers are probably out there because, again, the comic wrapped like within the past 12 to 18 months.
Right.
But my guess, not having read the comics, is he's going to go back to Viltrumite and be like, listen, I had a kid. So we got a Viltrumite on that planet, but he has gone rogue. We need reinforcements.
I could see that.
Is my guess. I don't have obviously I can just read the comments. So I don't have a way of knowing. No, I could totally just read the comments. But yeah, that's my guess as to what's going to happen. Do you have any guesses?
My guess, I mean, we know that we're going to see Mark get stronger, get better, and become a better hero, as he's going to kind of take up that mantle that Omni-Man left.
Can you become more invincible?
Can you become more invincible? We're going to find out on season 2. And I think we're going to see something. I don't know if he's going to go straight back to Viltrum. I don't know if he's going to stop elsewhere. Once again, like you said, we could absolutely find this out if we read the comics. And I'm sure eventually we will get around to those. Probably around the time next season comes around or something. But overall, yeah, it was fun. It was a fun show to watch. I had to binge watch 3/4 of it today. So that was fun.
Yeah, I did all of it on Saturday.
Yeah. I think I watched a little bit on... Well, no, not on Saturday. I was at the baseball game Saturday.
You were at a baseball game.
I was at a baseball game. But yeah, so that was Invincible. Check it out. Absolutely. Even though, your money's going to a jerk of a human being. But so we are next week. We're going to take a little bit of a break, but we decided we're having so much fun doing Talking Trades, Goes to the Movies, and also their couches, that we're going to come back the following week with the Suicide Squad, as that is apparently right around the corner. And
the Suicide Squad
just kind of came out of nowhere for us, but it's coming out on August 9th. August 11th is when we're going to, I think, record. So that'll be fun, or I don't know.
More than likely.
Yeah.
Around that week. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know time. But so next week we're going to just kind of take a break. Some of us are going to get caught up on doing their actual job, like me. And yeah, we'll get Loki out to you, and we'll get all the backstagers and all that, and this for you too. But yeah, if you haven't checked out not Infamous, why do I want to keep
Invincible?
Play Infamous while you're at it too. Games are great.
Oh, for sure.
But if you haven't checked out Invincible, thanks for listening, I guess. I hope we didn't spoil too much.
I hope we did, because we gave you a warning, so it's kind of on you.
Too. I hope you go back and give the show a watch, and with your Amazon Prime membership, then watch The Boys, because that show is also fun and has superheroes and lots. It
is way more intense, but yes, it is also very good.
Yes, but
I cannot stress this enough. Way more intense.
Other than that, we'll be back with the Suicide Squad, the hotly anticipated, getting great reviews out of the super.
Yeah, we got some early impressions, and they are all overwhelmingly positive. I've also heard that you don't need to watch Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad to get it. Am I going to? I'm going to watch Birds of Prey. We'll see if I feel like punishing myself and watching Suicide Squad. I've seen both cuts. It's whatever. But Birds of Prey, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to watch Birds of Prey. You kidding me? I don't need an excuse.
But that will do it for us here at Talking Trades for the week. So we'll see you we'll talk to you in a bit. For Jon and Matt, we'll say be safe, be cool. Don't try and join some sort of empire to take over the planet just because you are all a league of supermen. Like, that's kind of rude, but
it is rude. But I mean, he's loyal to it, so like,
yeah, I can't fault a man for his loyalties. It is his loyalty, which is just the only thing making him great, because like the plan overall is very much evil. But
yeah,
But
But he's
anyway,
an interesting character and brought to life by J.K. Simmons. Can't praise it enough.
Yeah, J.K. just even when he played the yellow M&M, like, come on, man. Come on, man. But that'll do it. That's the podcast for this week. Okay, bye.
Bye. You can follow us on Twitter at Talking Trades. Follow Jeremy on Twitter at LizardKing27. You can find John on Twitter at Maesterlaka, Maesterlaka. And for this and other projects from Matt, please check out Facebook at Matt Spina Music. And remember, we're not experts, we're fans.